Maeve Harrigan, played by Helen Mirren, served as a puppet master behind the scenes for the first half of MobLand's first season, but it looks like her long-term goals are finally becoming clear. After Ron Stevenson's death at the end of episode 5, the Harrigan and Stevenson war is officially underway, which should only result in retaliatory slaughter for the Harrigans and their allies. One could argue that the Harrigans have little else to gain from a conflict with Richie Stevenson, despite the fact that control over the London fentanyl trade is a prize in and of itself. Since he shot Archie Hammond in the first episode of MobLand, however, Maeve has been leading Conrad in that direction. Harry and Kevin have done everything they can to maintain harmony between the two families, but she has persuaded those around her to go to war. Even if Conrad claimed responsibility for Ron Stevenson's death, it is almost a given that Maeve herself made the decision that brought the long-simmering conflict to a head. It could mean the end for Conrad and the other Harrigans, and it suggests a fairly obvious endgame for Maeve. In the middle of MobLand episode 6, Maeve made what must have been her most spectacular move to date. She called Richie Stevenson on his personal cell phone. They already ran the risk of being discovered by Richie Stevenson because Brendan and Seraphina were both in Antwerp, Belgium, far from the relative safety of the Cotswolds. Maeve told Richie exactly where to find them, including the hotel they were staying at, so that became irrelevant. Once he had Brendan and Seraphina under control, he only needed to call the cartel. Richie was foolishly told by Maeve that he could do whatever he wanted with Seraphina, but that he had to leave her oldest son, Brendan, alive in exchange. Richie's murder of Conrad's adored daughter Seraphina was a clear attempt to destabilize the Harrigan patriarch by pushing him over the edge. Nevertheless, Brendan is in no better shape than Seraphina because Maeve made that request to Richie not long after she publicly made fun of his wife's death in a hideous way. They're both in Richie's grasp now, but if either were killed, it probably wouldn't happen off-screen. In a series of actions that appear to be specifically intended to weaken Conrad's hold on his empire, his family, and himself, Maeve's telling Richie where to find Seraphina is the most recent. He was first persuaded to pursue Richie's share of the fentanyl trade by Maeve, who was also responsible for the murder of one of his closest friends, Archie Hammond. She has made fun of him or, more accurately, called him a coward on multiple occasions for not being the feared gangster he once was, Conrad the Dread. Maeve Harrigan's role is meant to resemble Lady Macbeth, the wife of the play's protagonist who deceives him into his demise in William Shakespeare's tragedy Macbeth. This is a clear literary parallel. The entire family has been brought closer to war with the Harrigans by everything she has forced Conrad to do, and Conrad's back will be the main target during that conflict. Conrad does not have to be at the head of the table for Harry to help the Harrigans survive, even though he has a lot of resources, talent, and intelligence to do so. Perhaps as retaliation for the repeated references to serial infidelity, Maeve's schemes appear to be specifically planned to eliminate Conrad from the picture in the end. Maeve's decision to give up Seraphina, the result of that infidelity, may provide insight into her true motivation. As he developed the lucrative Harrigan crime empire into what it is today, Conrad was once a feared and astute gangster. But now that he appears to be little more than an unstable old man, Maeve's schemes are beginning to pay off. Archie was one of the most crucial components of the criminal organization's business side, so it was a terrible decision to kill him even though there was almost no proof that he was an informant. His actions have also become increasingly unpredictable. He has stalked and intimidated Jan de Souza in a series of episodes, with no proof of any wrongdoing other than what Maeve has instilled in his mind. He has also made inappropriate remarks to Gina de Souza, who is only 15 years old. It is the behavior of a man who is losing control of himself. The ultimate evidence was the positively insane phone call to Richie Stevenson. It was the act of an unstable lunatic rather than a crafty criminal lord. It appears that Maeve has a chance to overtake Conrad as the head of the Harrigan household in MobLand.